Hello everyone, welcome. This is the very first episode of Ochify Game Podcast. I'm your host, Ochify. I'm an old guy with about 20 years of experience writing the business side of the game industry. I'll be sharing my thoughts and insights based on industry news and observations I've made. In this day and age, I really think it's super important to have your perspective on the world, rather than just knowing facts. I would like to share some valuable insights with everyone involved in the business world. But talking about serious business all the time can get a bit tiring, right? My friends call me the B-grade groom king of East Asia. I'll also be chatting about some of my favorite food spots and doing things in my own style. Let's get right into it. First up, game business. Today I want to highlight some interesting news from the West and share my thoughts on Bit Summit, an in-game event attended in Kyoto last week. The first news item is from a GameIndustry.biz article from July 11th. It's by a feature editor named Luis Packard. The article discusses the topics covered at the Develop Brinton 2025 event in Brinton, UK. The article title was Develop Brinton 2025 Sunny Exterior Head Breaks Thoughts. Essentially, it's about the current, somewhat concerning situation in the gaming industry, which was debated at the conference. Specifically, it gets into the challenges of surviving, layoffs, fundraising difficulties, and the industry's increasing maturity. I've been hearing about funding issues, project cancellations, and studio layoffs from people overseas, whether I'm in Japan or not, since around late 2023. This essentially means that with so much uncertainty ahead, companies are forced to make difficult decisions. I'd like to summarize this later, but I'll move on to another article. This one from Mobile Game Biz dated July 14th. It's an article by Neil Long discussing job cuts at King, the company known for games like Candy Crush Saga. The unusual aspect is that people who were laid off were the ones who had created the AI tools. So, their jobs are being replaced by AI. For a time to be alive, it almost feels like something out of a sci-fi novel. King is planning to cut 200 jobs, especially affecting staff in level design, user research, UX, and narrative writing. The From Heroes Saga team in London is being cut in half. It seems that companies are in a particularly tough spot, so they have to make difficult decisions to keep the business alive. And then your job gets replaced by AI. Logically, I understand it, but I just wonder how that must feel if I am the person it happens to. Okay, next article. This is from July 17th from Game Business. It's like a podcast where Christopher Drink interviews different people. The title of this one is essentially The Game Industry Can't Go Back Now. His guest was Jacob Navak. He is currently the CEO of Genvid and used to be at Square Enix, so it's a conversation with him. They were discussing how the old business model is a massive game production, which led to huge profits, no longer really exist. I mean, I don't think it's completely gone, but it's no longer enough to simply spend a lot of money to guarantee sales. Plus, the number of titles released has gone up a lot. Some people in the industry say the market is extremely crowded now. There are several reasons for this. It's not just that competition is tough, but there's also competition with other forms of entertainment. During the COVID-19 pandemic, game sales obviously surged because everyone was stuck at home. But as people started going out again, things naturally settled down, right? That's just a given. The things we used to enjoy outside are back. Another unique aspect of the game industry is the shift to what they call live service games. Games that you can keep playing forever. That means the industry needs to change its thinking. This article also points out that costs are increasing, and along with that, staff numbers are decreasing. It suggests that the industry needs to scale down to match market size, making game more quickly with smaller teams. I agree with this. As for quickly, the pace might differ for everyone, but I definitely think it's better not to expand aimlessly. I heard a French studio, Slowcap's CEO, say something similar in an interview. They don't want to get too big unnecessarily. After reading this article, I feel that there are three big challenges happening. Three things that are really transforming factors, especially in the gaming industry. One is AI. Then there's user-generated content, UGC, and finally, the diversification of entertainment. How entertainment is diversifying is easy to explain. For example, a game's rival isn't just other games. It also includes the game's content. It could be your local bowling alley or even Netflix drama. Seriously, there are now so many Netflix dramas and so many games. In terms of game titles, the number appearing on Steam has probably more than doubled in the last 10 years. They say 18,000 came out last year alone. So, competition is getting tougher and tougher within the game industry, and we also have to compete with other entertainment. Then, there's the AI part. This isn't just for the game industry, of course, but it's a handy tool for boosting efficiency. As we heard in the earlier article, people who created AI tools are even being laid off because their jobs are being replaced by the very tools they created. AI has huge potential to really help with coding, creating graphics, mass production, and lots of other stuff. How much it will be used? Well, there are different perspectives. But simply put, if a game used to take 300 people to make, it could now be made by half that, or even less. In terms of investment and returns, optimistically, it could mean less risk and potentially higher returns. Even in a tough AI world, I hear about small startups making serious money, such as Kyoto and 11 Labs. So AI is, in a way, how do I put it? It's changing how business works entirely. Yes, I feel like a reset button has been pressed. So we really have to think and proceed with entirely different ideas than before. That's why your perspective is so important, right? And I'm hoping that by sharing my perspective, it can give you something to think about. And then with UGC, what I want to say is about how we enjoy things. For example, I'm doing this podcast right now, but I just do it on my office computer. In the past, game development required expensive equipment, but now you can create games with just a single PC. So the power of basic creation tools has really gone up. Because of this, it's not just about enjoying something that's completely pre-made. Think about Minecraft. That's a clear example. It's about creating it yourself and having fun. This has become another new normal. So while IP is important, I think the way younger generations will enjoy things isn't just by consuming what's made for them, But my participating in the creation, we already see this with YouTubers and fan-made content, right? This is only going to accelerate, so I think even the way we think about copyrighted works will change. Anyway, huge changes we've never seen before are happening. Things are getting more uncertain, making it harder to invest money in times like these. Well, from my experience, when you don't have the answers, you just have to keep moving within the limits of risk you can take, of course, like within the money you have. If you just think without moving, you won't find answers. You really have to do something. Meet people, go places, and make your discoveries to find a solution. And even if you try something and it fails, it's essential to know that this way doesn't work. As you continue, you eventually find the answer. There's just something there. You just have to believe there's something and keep going. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but from experience, I think the mindset has really worked out for me. Alright, that's my summary of the game industry news and my thoughts. Next up, the summit. It was held last week from July 17th to 20th at the Miyako Messe venue in Kyoto. I think it might have been the biggest one ever. I've been going every year since 2022. This is my fourth year, and it feels like it just keeps getting bigger. That said, it's still 2 floors, and it feels like they pack a lot into a not so huge space. You'll find everything from small booths for individual game developers to big players like PlayStation and Nintendo Switch 2. A friend I met at the venue said it had a real hodgepodge feel. That hodgepodge vibe and uniquely relaxed atmosphere are still alive and well. Among all that, one thing that really stood out to me was an Indian developer who had a small booth 2 years ago. They said their game would be ready in 2025. And guess what? Their game, Fishbowl, from India, was in the PlayStation booth. All these kinds of encounters are so cool. As for the game itself, it's essentially an adventure game where a girl has various tasks to complete around the house. Then there is Star of Providence, a new roguelike shooting game from Big Mode, the publisher of Animal Well, which sold about 10 million copies last year. I usually prefer single shooting games, but the roguelike element adds more of an exploration feel, which is interesting. And then there's Toge Production, an Indonesian publisher, and the game Whisper Mountain Outbreak. How should I describe it? It's a pixel art quarter view match where you just defeat tons of zombies. Sounds easy to understand, right? It was fun to play it. It's coming out soon too. I also played Kyoto 2 at the Switch 2 booth, and that was a blast, a really party game. Indie games are such a dream world, I think. If you try to do it as a company business, there are a lot of challenging aspects, but for, say, 3 people or 2 people working on the game for 1 or 2 years, selling 200,000 copies at $10 would be a massive sales achievement. But you don't need to sell 200,000. Even 20,000 is enough to make it work. It's a world where you can truly do that you love. I think it's a dream world where you can challenge yourself with creativity and ingenuity. To sum it up, while there are more corporate executives, bigger companies for advertising purposes or to promote their services, it's still an event that's carved out its own unique niche. I feel like it's an event I definitely want to keep a close eye on in the future. Alright, moving on. It's time to Gourmet recommendations from your East Asian B-grade Gourmet King. I love trying out new foods. I've lived outside of Japan before and also traveled for business. I just love walking around the city, checking out the vibe of different restaurants, picking a spot, and then dropping in. When it turns out to be a good place, I get really happy. For my first recommendation, I'd like to introduce you to a place I highly recommend to people. 麺の棒取りで a 豚骨 ramen shop located in Shinsen, Shibuya, Tokyo. To get to Shinsen, you take the Inokashira line from Shibuya Station, get off at Shinsen, it's the first stop, and then walk about 3 or 4 minutes. It opened in 2001. And my family and I have been going there since 2002. I think it might be the restaurant our family has used the most. It probably accounts for over 70% of our family's dining out experiences. Oh, it's so delicious. Even though it's tonkotsu ramen, they only use pork heads. So it's so clear and more refined than typical tonkotsu soups. The owner trained at the famous Ippudo. He is super dedicated to making sure people eat delicious food. The noodles are homemade, and they use really pure water. Even the seaweed and the chashu pork are made with incredibly good ingredients. Seriously, ramen has really evolved as a dish over the last 10 or 20 years. And the ramen is definitely something you can truly savor as a culinary experience. Additionally, due to its location, many women visit to eat there, so they even provide oil blotting paper in the restroom, and hair ties are available. It's a wonderful spot, and they really think of everything for you. You absolutely have to go. Alright, I think it's about time to wrap things up, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. I've started an X account. It's Ochify G Business. Yeah, it's long, I know. Please follow me also if you think, hey, that point is wrong, or if you have any corrections. Please let me know. Everyone makes mistakes, and I believe what's important is how I follow up afterwards. And I'm also looking for topic suggestions, such as, could you discuss blah 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 blah. Alright then, until next time, I hope to catch your ear again. Thank you.